A friend of mine once told me, if my car died tomorrow, I'd be screwed. He said it casually, half joking, half serious, but the moment those words left his mouth, something clicked for me. That is what real financial stress feels like. Not, I'm bankrupt, not, I can't pay rent. Just that low-level sense that your whole life could come apart from one unlucky moment. It's that low buzzing in the background, the kind you carry while walking to work. Most people don't know this. There is a point where that feeling finally goes quiet. Not because you win the lottery or suddenly get rich, but because, one day, you simply have enough breathing room to handle life without fear. For many people, that turning point gathers around one number, roughly $20,000. Now, most people stop here because they think it's just a safety net, but it's actually a mathematical tipping point. Think about the physics of it. If you're putting away $1,000 a month, getting to that first $20,000 takes about 19 months. That's 19 months of discipline, of saying no, of pushing a boulder uphill. But here's where things flip. The second $20,000, it doesn't take 19 months. It takes 17. Feels like cheating, but it's just math finally choosing sides. You didn't work harder, you didn't save more, but suddenly, the money started carrying some of the weight. By the time you hit 100,000, that timeline shrinks even faster. That's when the thing you've been shoving uphill suddenly starts rolling by itself. In this video, I'll show you how that momentum rewires the way your mind works, long before your lifestyle changes, and how you can get there without forcing yourself to be someone you're not. Here's where things start to get interesting. When that constant financial pressure begins to lift, the biggest shift isn't that you feel better, it's that you start thinking better. It's like your brain finally has the space to zoom out. Instead of constantly asking, how do I fix this right now? You suddenly begin to ask, what would make things smoother next month, or even next year? Late fees disappear. The overdraft alert on your phone stops popping up. You're no longer grabbing whatever seems easiest just to make it through today. You stop patching holes and start reinforcing the structure. Before, every choice was a reaction to pressure. Now, those same choices start stacking in your favor. That shift most people never notice is this. Decision quality compounds. One smart move frees up time. That time clears your thinking. Clear thinking improves execution. Better execution creates even more space for the next smart move. And suddenly, you're not managing problems anymore. You're designing progress. So how do you turn financial breathing room into real momentum? Let me give you something more real. Cars. Most people ask, can I afford the monthly payment? That's fear talking. What helped me was asking instead, if I didn't spend this, what future option would I be buying? A used car didn't impress anyone back then, but behind the scenes, it was funding tomorrow. I wasn't losing face. I was gaining freedom. Works the same. When you have enough to walk away, you show up differently. You don't ask for a raise like you're hoping to be rescued. You ask from a place of calm. Funny thing, the less desperately you need an opportunity, the more likely the right ones tend to find you. And investing? That's the part most people overlook. An 8% return doesn't feel exciting when you start. But when the base gets big enough, and the system keeps feeding it, you stop checking charts. Because you know time in the market beats timing the market. You set the contribution, and then you get back to living your life. But there are pitfalls. Don't celebrate hitting the buffer by draining it. Don't mistake comfort for infinite slack. Your buffer has a purpose. Treat it with respect. And never skip boring fundamentals like insurance or cash flow protection. One unplanned crisis can still crack the foundation. There was a time I almost upgraded my car. The numbers were fine, but I realized the extra payment would cancel out what I was quietly investing each month. So I skipped the upgrade, redirected that exact amount into my index fund instead, then forgot about it. A year later, that one decision paid for 25% of my annual goal. No extra effort. And that leads straight into what comes next. Because once your choices improve, the way you see yourself starts to shift too. What actually shifts isn't theory, It's posture. Think of it like switching from driving with your head glued to the windshield to finally being able to sit back enough to see the whole road. At first, every financial move feels like you're dodging potholes just inches in front of you. But once that buffer is solid, something subtle happens. You lift your eyes. You start steering instead of reacting. Not because you suddenly became disciplined, but because you built a setup that makes the right move the easy move. No inner debate, no willpower tug of war, just fewer opportunities to mess it up. It's not identity, rituals, or guardrails. It's environment. And when your environment makes progress feel natural, you don't try to act like the kind of person who handles money well. You just do. That's when your habits start compounding before the numbers even show it. People often ask, won't I obsess over every purchase? Actually, this is the point where stress fades. Once the buffer is solid and the system runs on its own, small purchases don't trigger scarcity anymore. You stop moralizing over coffee. You conserve attention for the levers that actually move the needle: housing, transportation, savings rate, asset mix. That's the shift from worrying about pennies to taking care of the big picture. When I first maintained my buffer, I noticed something subtle. I wasn't narrating guilt over everyday spending anymore. Instead, I wondered, could I raise my savings rate by 2% without feeling it? That became a small game I played with myself. I nudged the auto transfer up slightly and then forgot about it. 90 days later, it felt normal. That tiny adjustment said more about my identity than any one-time frugal win ever did. And then the feedback loop kicks in. Confidence enables better projects. Better projects increase income. Higher income fuels investing. A stronger buffer absorbs volatility. The cycle repeats, each loop reinforcing the belief, I'm the kind of person who builds slack and then bets wisely. The shift isn't just mathematical, it's biological. Lower baseline cortisol, that protects clear thinking when life gets loud. Guardrails help identity survive pressure. Define a floor you won't cross, your non-negotiable cash reserve. Treat it like your operating system, not discretionary cash. If life gets loud, pause increases if you must, but do not stop the base transfer. If you fall below the floor, restoring it comes before upgrades or lifestyle creep. Here's a shortcut nobody teaches. Name your system. Call it operating cushion, quiet cash, or simply the floor. Naming makes it tangible. Tangible things get protected. And when identity, ritual, and guardrails align, you're no longer chasing motivation. You're just following a rhythm. And that is exactly what compounding requires. Stable behavior through unstable conditions. Theory falls apart if you need willpower every week. The keystone habit is surprisingly simple. Set up an automatic transfer from checking to savings or investing every month, same day. Pick a number, $50, $100, $250. Line it up with payday. Progress without willpower. That's the point. And yes, the order matters. Not as a checklist to follow perfectly, but more like laying tracks so momentum can do the walking. And when progress is under control, a quiet shift happens. You start choosing boring over exciting. Broad market, low-cost index funds. Tax-advantaged accounts when available. The kind of stuff nobody brags about because it works so quietly, nobody notices until it's too late to catch up. If you're wondering where to even start after all this, it doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe for now, it's just one small transfer, $50, maybe $100, set to leave the day after you get paid. Give that money a job. Call it your floor, your cushion, whatever name makes you take it seriously, and write that number down somewhere you'll see it. Every few months, nudge the transfer up a little. Not to impress anyone, just enough that you barely feel it. And instead of trying to optimize your whole life at once, just look at the big three from time to time. Where you live, how you move around, and how you earn. If once a quarter you make one low-friction improvement in any of those, you'll be surprised how far that carries you. Once a week, sit down for 15 minutes with your numbers. Same day, same chair, same drink if you like. You're not there to judge yourself, just to see the truth a little more clearly. That's enough. Not a grand plan, just a gentle rhythm that, over time, walks you where you wanted to go anyway.